Hey y'all, I'm Jim. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, we're going to do part one of our massive raised bed project. This has been something that's been in the works going on now for several months, and I've started construction, and yeah, there's just a lot to do. It is February 21st, and we're very rapidly approaching our full growing season down here in South Carolina in Zone 8B. I've already started most of my tomatoes and peppers and lettuces and carrots and beets and just so much more. February is an explosive month for us to seed start in our trays that if you've seen some of my other videos. But in today's video about the raised beds, we're going to talk about the plan and our setup, what we're going to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So when you come out of our back door onto our back porch, this is how our garden lays out. And this is our plan for how our raised beds are going to be. And we'll talk about the overall setup and we'll talk about why. So let's take a little tour. So if we're going down our back steps, right out the back of our property, here's our first raised bed, and I have set up my plots and capped each plot with raised beds, either one each or two each. And so that one's under construction. These are going to be holding potatoes very soon, within the next week or so, because I'm only going to build them up about 3 high, and then I'm going to start planting the potatoes, and I'm going to be cheating a little bit this year. I'll keep adding dirt and building them up as the potatoes grow. So here is one that is about 95% complete. I still have to put the very top rail on. And these raised beds, now those two are 40 feet long because that plot's just 40 feet deep. So they're 4 feet wide, 40 feet deep, and they're 2 feet high. And so that's what this is. It'll be 2 feet high with that last 2x4 runner on top. And as you can see, this one I filled with logs and 2x4 scraps and all kinds of material, and then some leaf mulch. Now these will be other videos too. We'll be doing some videos on resources. You know, how am I doing all of this? We'll do a video on cost. And we'll do several videos on how to build these. So today's video is just more about the plan and the setup. All right, so from our back plot to the plots that are currently going up the wood line beside our house. And so here I have a pair of raised beds that'll go in. The board you see in the middle, right there, that board is just to stabilize the two beds. That is actually the 2-foot walk path. And you can see I already started putting these stakes in to be able to put up the sides. And so over there is that raised bed I just showed you. We got one plot here. Now this entire garden on this side is 50 feet deep. So these beds right here are 4 feet wide, 50 feet long, 2 feet tall. All right, so let's keep going. And here we come to another pair of raised beds. So now that is 3 plots with 3 sets of raised beds. So here's plot number 4. And again, it is capped or ended with 2 4-foot wide raised beds. Then our property, our wood line, kind of shifts angle a little bit. So I shifted the angle a little bit of my raised beds. So here we go. This is one raised bed that end caps plot number 5. And so now we're coming to a section of 12 continuous 3-foot wide raised beds. So there is 12 3-foot wide raised beds with 2-foot walk spaces in between each one of them. All 50 feet long, all will be 2 feet high. Got some strawberries in there with some deer netting up around it. Kind of hard to see, but they're in there. Already putting on baby strawberries. And so here, so those are 12 consecutive raised beds there. And this is plot number 6. And these are the final 2 4-foot wide raised beds. And then I just have some material sitting out here to put in these raised beds as I get them up. All right, now let's talk a little minute about why we're doing all this and the differences between the 3-foot and 4-foot raised beds, and why 12-foot and why 12 consecutive 3-foot beds like we did. So let's have a conversation. All right, so let's discuss the plan of why we would do something like this and why it might be beneficial and interesting to you. Clearly, the size of scope of what we're doing is not for everybody. Our main reason for doing this, well, there are several main reasons, but we're doing a market farm. So we're actually going to be selling in 2024, we're going to be selling at 2 different farmers markets. And so we need enough market farm space to grow a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, and not only grow a wide variety, but grow an abundance of them, so we don't try to run out of things. Plus, in farming or gardening, there is succession planting or stagger planting. And what does that simply mean? It means that if you plan out where the first crop is going to run into the end of its harvest time, and let's just use an example of one of the determinate tomatoes we have. If I want to have that same tomato throughout my growing season, I need to plant them again, because the first tomato will come to fruition, all of its fruit will get harvested, and it'll be done. And I don't want to be done with it. So basically, let's just take that same example as a tomato. When I plant the first tomatoes in the ground in April, that is quite literally when I will start my next round of those same tomatoes in one of my seed trays. So that by the time those tomatoes mature and come through their full harvest cycle, I'll be ready to put the new ones in the ground, and we'll continue with a full harvest. So at any rate, we need room for that. That's the purpose of the 6 plots. The purpose of the raised beds that go into the plots. I've done construction work for about 35 years of my life. I was a plumbing contractor. I owned a plumbing business. My wife has back issues. I have back issues. And even one of my sons, who's going to help, got into a car wreck when he was younger, and he has back issues. So if you're out there and you've ever had any type of back issues or other physical ailments, handicaps, disabilities, things that just make it tough for you to get down on the ground level continuously, then this is a thought for you. It can be on any scale you want. So the reason for the 50-foot long is simple. Our plots are 50 foot long, except for the very back plot, which is 40 feet. The determination between 4 feet wide and 3 feet wide. 4 feet wide allows us to do things like, say, jalapeno peppers. I can actually plant 2 full rows in 1 4-foot raised bed. The same thing can apply to something like a zucchini or a squash. I can plant those 2 full rows 2 feet apart in a 4-foot raised bed. In other words, I can come in 1 foot from one side of the raised bed and 1 foot from the other side of the raised bed, and there's 2 feet in between them. So that kind of spacing works good for medium to large size plantings. The reason for the 3-foot beds, there's going to be a lot of succession planting on lettuces, carrots, beets, radishes, just so many things that can be put into a 3-foot bed that can be continuous harvest, case after case. The lettuces alone, for us to do a farmer's market and have continuous lettuce throughout the entire growing season, which for us is about, well, for lettuce, it's probably close to 10 months out of the year, maybe even all 12 if we do a little protection. But quite frankly, every time you use succession, because those things will, be in the ground, come to maturity quickly, harvest quickly, and you don't want to be stuck with nothing. So that's why there's so many of those continuous 3-foot raised beds. Plus, our planting, that particular area where we put those raised beds was strategic in the sense of that ground last year for us was horrible. I don't know if there was some kind of weird chemical, dirt makeup. I didn't happen to get around to doing a soil sample. I can just flat tell you that nothing grew well in there, and that ground was hard as a rock in that one area. And it's not like that in most of mine. So that was the strategic plan for why we put all 12 consecutive 3-foot beds in that area. Just cover up that mess and not even have to worry about that ground. As far as why are they 2 feet high? Well, that's pretty simple. With our back issues, we wanted to be able to plant and harvest and even weed, maintain the beds simply. We have whether you're on a little scooter, a little cart on wheels rather, or a stool, or what have you, a wheelbarrow, not that you would be in a wheelbarrow, but everything works around that same height. In actuality, when you plant a bed like this, I'm doing it out of all wood. Now, there will be some other videos on how that's possible, because I can already hear the question, oh my, that's got to be dramatically expensive. Not in our case, but we'll explain that when we get to the resources and the cost type videos. But with all wood, yes, I will have to replace that wood. Probably in about 5 years, I'll have to start replacing some of it. None of it is treated. All of it, well, I take that back. Some of the 4x4s in the end post to stabilize the entire bed is, but all of it is built out of standard 2x4 material, not treated. So yes, there is going to be more maintenance work down the road, but doing it this way also will allow us to build the beds up even higher should we find the need to. Whether it be physical issues or varmint issues or whatever the case is, we always have that option to go up. In the case of what I'm going to do with the potatoes is another one in the 4-foot beds that I can plant 2 full rows 2 feet apart. So I can plant about 96 potato plants per bed. So, but with the concept there is I'm using a deck screw that will never rust out or corrode. In fact, it is one of my bigger costs the entire project, believe it or not. But again, we'll cover all of that in a different video. But those deck screws, I have the ability to take off if I want to and pull the potatoes. I can even replace the dirt in there or take the dirt out and set it off to the side. I can do this year over year. Technically, we can probably plant potatoes twice if we find the need to in our growing season. So there's just so many reasons for the plan to do it this way. Again, I realize that it's not for everybody. You know, this kind of massive raised bed project it's tough. It's tough. We have a grand total of 25 raised beds. And quite frankly, we've already been talking about the potential of doing more because we want more growing space. I know that probably sounds a little fruity, but this is what it means to be a market farmer. So that is our setup. Now you get the gist of it, how we can come out of our back door and we're right here at our farm. How we can, when these projects are done, how it's going to be so nice growing season after growing season, crop after crop, because all of the fall crops like onions, brassicas, you know, with the collard greens and cabbages and broccoli and cauliflower, all of those things will be able to go in the raised bed as well. So we're so looking forward to it. If you've ever really thought about it, I would say easily 70 or so % of everything we grow in the garden it qualifies for a raised bed. If that plant doesn't get more than, say, 5 feet high, it's easy to grow it in a 2-foot raised bed. Because even if that plant, if it's 5 feet high from a 2-foot raised bed, it's 7 feet. Most people can reach 7 feet. So this is our plan and our setup, and I hope that you found this video interesting. Please put your questions and thoughts and comments down below. I would so much appreciate any helpful advice, or if I can give you answer some questions for you, I'd be more than happy to. Regardless of the scale that you want to do this in, raised beds are just an awesome, awesome way to grow fruits and vegetables. And yes, we will talk about how I'm going to fill all of these in the resources video and some other videos, the builds and what have you. Again, I will just say now, it's a little costly, but it's not what you think, I promise you. And of course, you're probably not doing it to our scale. So, hope you found this interesting. If you did, please subscribe, like, and share the video. Hit the bell notification so you can get notified every time we bring out a video. We'd so greatly appreciate it. We thank you so much for taking your time and watching this video. You are awesome. Take care and God bless you. Have an amazing day in the Lord. We'll see you again real soon.